A noted lawyer in Georgia and America, Lynn Wood. You know Lynn Wood from many of the great work he's done. He's been fighting this battle for the president and lawsuits, and he filed another big suit, I think it was Friday night, with the courts. He's now also defending Sidney Powell. So a lot has happened to Lynn Wood this weekend, and he's with us now. Hey, Lynn Wood, thank you for being with us, sir.
Hey, John. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Never better. I was really excited about a couple things. I want to start with the lawsuits you got pending, and then also the one that you filed Friday night, basically to delay this January 5th fraud election. Can you share with our audience what that is?
Well, the lawsuit I filed Friday night was to enjoin the runoff scheduled for January the 5th. The runoff is the product of a fraudulent November the 3rd election. And the fraud that's taking place right now in the state of Georgia is even greater with respect to the mail-in ballots than what we experienced in the November 3rd election. So the steel is back on. There's now been a tremendous amount of overwhelming, compelling, if not conclusive evidence of the fraud that occurred on November the 3rd. So if a judge is objective and impartial and follows the law and his or her oath of office, they've got to stop this runoff election. They've got to impound these machines, and they've got to give the citizens of Georgia what they have a right to under the laws of this country, an honest election. We're not getting one right now.
So what type of a ruling do you need, and what's the time frame on this, Lynn?
I have to tell you, John, in all candor, I'm not sure the judge this case has been assigned to is going to take any action. We got an order yesterday where a briefing schedule has been set out that literally pushes the issue to as late or later than December the 30th. And I have a feeling that we're going to be told at that time that it's too late because everybody's already voting. The courts have been looking for excuses to throw our cases out of court without even mentioning the massive amount of evidence of fraud that we have put before them. Something is wrong in the judiciary system of this country. I wrote at some length last night on my Twitter account what I believe is the cause for these bizarre rulings, for the bizarre behavior of elected officials, literally the bizarre behavior of individuals who should be fighting for the president, but instead are moving on. I think what we're going to come to realize, and we're going to sleep at the switch, is that the communists have, in essence, taken over our country without firing a shot.
Lynn Wood with us, noted lawyer in Atlanta, filed a suit yesterday to get this election for January 5th put off. We got all kinds of fraud going on, buses going around, added drop boxes, no chain of custody, the same. But I agree with you. The election in the 5th, the fraud is going to be bigger than it was on the 3rd. And Stacey Abrams is just laughing her tail off at how feckless these Republicans are. Let me get to Sidney Powell. Now, she gets a letter of cease and desist from Smartmatic, and they threaten her with a lawsuit. You've agreed to defend her, and I think you tweeted out, hey, go ahead and sue. It was either you or Sidney said, go ahead and sue. We're looking forward to the opportunity to do the discovery. How do you stand on that?
Well, my letter in response to Smartmatic's 4 or 5 page letter making accusations against Sidney for telling false and conveying false and defamatory statements was pretty short and sweet and to the point. Mm-hmm. I told them I was not impressed with their statements. Mm-hmm. File your lawsuit, because they're never going to file a lawsuit. It's all smoke and mirrors. And the reason is because just what you mentioned. Any lawsuit involving accusations by Sidney Powell will turn on whether her statements are true or false. That's a factual issue. That allows discovery, going into their financial records, their business and corporate structure, their activities in connection with the election. They're never going to want that exposed, so they're bluffing. Mm-hmm. And I called their bluff, and I said, file your lawsuit. There've been other. Dominion has written her also. They have written the Epoch Times, which is one of the few legitimate members of the media right now. It's not mainstream, but in the next few months, it's going to probably become mainstream
right.
in a new sense, just like your broadcast is going to become mainstream, but it's going to be a different mainstream. We're going to get back to a mainstream media that tells the public the truth. We don't have that right now. We have a media that has been taken over by communist sympathizers, so we've been getting propaganda for several years in this country. The infiltration of our government has been in our country, has occurred over the last 20 to 30 years. They have an avowed purpose to take us over. They've made their move. I'm sure you've already heard about COVID-20 that's coming this way.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they're going to try to lock us down as a nation so they can take us over physically.
Do you think that the president should impound all of these Dominion voting machines, Linwood?
The President of the United States knows things of which I do not know.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a situation where the evidence has not been locked in already, then I think he should obviously impound the machines, because when we've had two instances in Ware County and in Antrim County, Michigan, we have been able to easily show the machines were rigged with an algorithm in software.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say if he doesn't already have the evidence, I believe President Trump was ahead of the curve. I think he knew what they were going to do. They've done it before in 2016 and 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that our government and its intelligence capabilities knew this was going to happen, and they documented it. And I think we're going to find in the next several days that other countries, particularly Israel, also documented it. Mm-hmm. When you're sending our votes all over the globe by the Internet, every bit of that data is picked up by our intelligence operation, not just ours, but other countries. Mm-hmm. So I think the president may already have proof positive of the attempted theft of this election.
Well,
we'll have to wait and see what he says to us in the next several days.
The fact that these machines were hooked up to the Internet, that in and of itself is a violation of federal law. You can't do that. And we've got evidence now, especially from the NSA and others, that a number of these machines were just hooked up live to the Internet, which is it's a violation of federal election law. That reason, Lynn, by itself, this whole thing in the battleground state should get thrown out. The John Fredericks Radio Network, we're live. Lynn Wood is with us, noted attorney from Atlanta. We're going to open it up to phone calls. Lynn loves to take your calls. 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. Let's start with Chris in Michigan. Chris, line one, you're on with John Fredericks and Lynn Wood. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to bring it back to Georgia a little bit. It seems like it's the most important one with the Senate on the line. But I have one quick point on what you guys were just talking about. There has already been testimony by Colonel Waldron that the machines were on the Internet and that their white hat hackers already have the packets. And he referenced the executive order from 2018 that the military was already investigating this pursuant to that executive order. So I would guess he does have that traffic.
Lynn?
Well, again, only the President of the United States knows what was done, and I assume that it was done.
Well, Colonel Waldron also knows what was done because he testified to this in multiple hearings.
Well, I think that from what I understand you've said about what the Colonel testified to, I believe that he has given truthful testimony, and he's right. I believe
our
that
white
the government
hat hackers have the packets. That was his word. But anyways, real quick, John, on the special session in Georgia, everyone keeps saying it's unconstitutional and they need 3/5.
Lie.
But you presented in your article on the Georgia Star News.
Thank you.
That there's at least a legal basis for 50+1.
Yes.
These representatives do not determine the constitutionality of something. That is the judge's job.
Right.
And they should let the judge sort that out.
Right.
If there's even a question, they should call it. But they're not. And I think that's why we need to call it what it is. What has been alleged is blackmail, not by the Chinese. There's plenty of Chinese blackmail. But this is blackmail in the House.
Yep.
if it's true.
That's true. I mean, we got representatives on the record.
I contacted every single House member, and they're telling me that David Clark is a pathological liar. John Ridley told me that in writing. So
well, look,
my point is,
I could just tell you that I don't think the senators.
Blackmail.
Thank you, Chris. I don't think the senators, the senators who put this petition forward, Brandon Beach, Senator Bill Ligon from Brunswick, Burt Jones, who you just heard from, and Greg Dalzell, these are not pathological liars, right? These are people that did the investigation. They did the report. You need 50% plus one, and they hid behind a 3/5, and they just lied. I mean, all we're getting fed to us, Lynn, is lie after lie after lie. That's why people are so frustrated, Lynn.
And the reason you're getting those lies is because the people that are trying to cover up the fraud in this election and the illegality of what the Secretary of State in Georgia did are communist corrupted. So what do we do now as citizens? We, the people, voted for Donald Trump. He won a historic landslide. Now that we are uncovering the clear bias against a legitimate election, the people trying to hide the truth about this election, those individuals are communist compromised. I'm not going to mince words. The governor of Georgia, communist compromised. Lieutenant governor, Secretary of State, Attorney General, communist compromised. David Ralston, he's got some problems. Communists are good at exploiting the problems. He's got something to hide. Mm-hmm. That's why he's lied. He lied to the president. He's been lying to the public. It's all going to come out. People have talked about the Great Awakening. We've been asleep at the switch for decades. America's getting ready to wake up and realize that if your electors cast a vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, you are casting a vote for communism to run this country. It's time to wake up and face the truth. But I have developed it over several weeks. It's clear as a bell now what's happened. It makes perfect sense. It explains everything that has occurred in this year, 2020, a year that I believe, as I said on the New Year's Eve, this is the year we're going to see things more clearly. And boy, are we seeing things more clearly now. We're seeing the extent of communism in our country.
All right, let's go to Elizabeth in Louisiana. Elizabeth, line 1, you're live with John Fredericks and Lynn Wood. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Hi. My name's Elizabeth. I have a question for you. Are you there?
Yes, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Okay, I was reading an article from a constitutional lawyer that he's brought out. His name is Raiklin. Ivan Raiklin.
This look, that's not a Elizabeth. I'm sorry, Ivan is not a credible figure. I'm going to move on from that. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. I can't do conspiracy on my show. All right, Ivan is not high sky, not a credible. No, thank you though. All right, Lynn, what do you have to do to get a hearing? What do we have to do to get this evidence out?
Well, we, the people, have got to take to the streets and make it clear through nonviolent civil disobedience that we're not going to tolerate it. When I said before in recent weeks it's 1776 again, what they've set up in our country is what will appear to be a civil war. When the president acts, and he's going to act, there's going to be a planned pattern of civil unrest. But we're going to fast learn that what I'm telling you on your show today is true, that this is not Americans versus Americans. This is America versus communist China with involvement from Iran and Russia. So it's freedom versus tyranny. When the Americans have a common foe, we unite. Mm-hmm. We're going to unite again, and we're going to defeat these people that are trying to take over our country. In the meantime, I would be applying maximum pressure with emails, telephone calls, text messages to everybody up there in the state of Georgia administration. I'd tell them that the people are not going to tolerate it. I think Kemp ought to be recalled, but I believe, and so should the lieutenant governor, the Secretary of State, who hasn't even been running the Secretary of State's office, has been run by a young lady named Jordan Fuchs, who has no experience, is totally unqualified. Raffensperger's worth about $100 million in a family business. He doesn't even read the paperwork in the Secretary of State's office. So we've got the problem in the Attorney General's office. Mm-hmm. These people ought to be recalled, but I really believe, and I don't mind saying it, I believe these people are going to jail. I believe they're going to jail for being traitors to the United States of America because they were complicit in a communist effort to take over our government through a fraudulent election.
Well, Lynn Wood, we're gonna leave it at that. That is a pretty powerful statement. I want to thank you for all you do. I want to thank you for your time. Let me just read you one text here. It's from Jim in Portsmouth, who says, "Good morning, John. This is Jim from Portsmouth, Virginia. Can you please let Mr. Wood know? People from around the country thank him for all he's doing. He's a patriot and truly loves this country and the truth. I pray God continues to give him strength, courage, and wisdom. I just want him to know that his efforts are appreciated. Thanks, John." That's from Jim in Portsmouth, sir. Thank you, Lynn.
It was. Great way to end it, and I appreciate the kind words of inspiration.